But you know what? Do you know what makes it even worse? You guys, the Labor Party have taken millions of dollars in donations from the CFMEU. And the Prime Minister last year said, oh, you know, we're going to stop taking donations from the CFMEU. But they didn't. And not only did they not, you would think that with this sort of an expose, the Labor Party would say, you know what, we'll do the right thing and we'll donate that money to charity, or we'll donate that money to Mates for Mates or some charitable organisation. But no, that money has stayed in the Labor Party coffers. And I say, shame on you. Shame on the Labor Party, because that money is blood money. And I don't use that term loosely, because the CFMEU have overseen physical harm on building sites, threats, and particularly against women working on building sites, and even public servants. I was in here every day talking about it, and the Labor Party did nothing. Nothing. The Labor Party continued to take the money from the CFMEU. You continue to take the donations. Nothing to see here. Talking about
very serious stuff.
Alleged corruption in the building industry. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, you have heard me speak about corruption in the building industry for 10 long years. I have spoken about this uphill and down dale. And whenever I spoke about it, those opposite, nothing to see here, no, all white noise, nothing, there's no problem with the CFMEU. They kept taking their money, their donations from the CFMEU, and it wasn't until, I think it was last year, that Channel 9 did an expose which put the issue beyond doubt. And then we saw the member for Watson and the Prime Minister say, we had no idea about the extent of this problem, or that there was in fact a problem at all.
Stay with me, because the full video I'm about to show you puts everything you've just heard into a whole new perspective. All right, buckle up, grab a flat white and strap yourself into the parliamentary roller coaster, because what went down in the chamber was less order and more crikey, here we go again. You know those moments in politics where someone stands up, clears their throat, and you just know the temperature in the room is about to jump 10 degrees? Yeah, that was this. Real quick, before we roll the footage, if you're enjoying this content, do me a huge favour. Hit that like button and smash subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. Don't be one of them. It's free for you and it helps us out more than you know. Already clicked? You're awesome. Let's get into the video.
Give the call to the member for Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And what we've just heard is 10 minutes of unadulterated, unobscured, just constant attack on the Shadow Minister, who has raised a matter of very significant importance, talking about
very serious stuff.
Alleged corruption in the building industry. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, you have heard me speak about corruption in the building industry for 10 long years. I have spoken about this uphill and down dale. And whenever I spoke about it, those opposite, nothing to see here, no, all white noise, nothing, there's no problem with the CFMEU. They kept taking their money, their donations from the CFMEU, and it wasn't until, I think it was last year, that Channel 9 did an expose which put the issue beyond doubt. And then we saw the member for Watson and the Prime Minister say, we had no idea about the extent of this problem, or that there was in fact a problem at all. It reminds me of the old Suncorp, the Queenslanders on my side will get this, the old Suncorp ad. Charter boat? What charter boat? Nothing to see here. Well, Jeffrey Watson has belled the cat. Jeffrey Watson has belled the cat and identified that there is likely somewhere between $15 and $30 billion worth of corrupt payments that have been made within the building industry. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, you know, as well as I know, and many people in this chamber would know, that I used to work as a carpenter in the building industry in Victoria. My first day on the building industry in Victoria, I experienced the bullying and corruption of the CFMEU predecessor, the Builders Labourers Federation. As an 18-year-old kid, I experienced it. And that's part of the reason why I'm sitting on this side of the House today. Because Norm Gallagher was a rookie at the end of the day. But what we have seen time and time and time again, and businesses have come to see me consistently over the last 10 years and talk to me about the standover tactics of the CFMEU, the fact that they can't get a start on a job unless they agree to pay kickbacks to the CFMEU. Now, when I start talking about this, those on the other side of the House go very quiet, because I'm not talking out of a textbook. I'm talking out of experience, 35, now close to 40 years' experience in the building industry, both as a chippy, a builder and then a construction barrister. The CFMEU has overseen the greatest corruption in this country, in Victoria and in Queensland. And that's terrible in itself. But you know what? Do you know what makes it even worse? You guys, the Labor Party, have taken millions of dollars in donations from the CFMEU. And the Prime Minister last year said, oh, you know, we're going to stop taking donations from the CFMEU. But they didn't. And not only did they not, you would think that with this sort of an expose, the Labor Party would say, you know what, we'll do the right thing and we'll donate that money to charity, or we'll donate that money to Mates for Mates or some charitable organisation. But no. That money has stayed in the Labor Party coffers. And I say, shame on you. Shame on the Labor Party, because that money is blood money. And I don't use that term loosely, because the CFMEU have overseen physical harm on building sites, threats, and particularly against women working on building sites, and even public servants. I was in here every day talking about it, and the Labor Party did nothing. Nothing. The Labor Party continued to take the money from the CFMEU. You continue to take the donations. Nothing to see here.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.
The call goes out to the member for Fisher, and suddenly we're not in a polite debate anymore, we're in full-blown Aussie political theatre. He rises, calm at first, but you can hear it bubbling underneath. And what we've just heard, he says, is 10 minutes of relentless attack on a shadow minister who dared to raise something serious, alleged corruption in the building industry. Not a light topic, not a cheeky jab, serious stuff. Now here's where it gets spicy. He reminds the chamber he's been banging on about corruption in the building industry for 10 long years, uphill and down dale, as he puts it. That's not weekend hobby, that's a decade of standing up and saying, oi, something's not right here. And every time, according to him, those opposite waved it away. Nothing to see here, just white noise. Move along, mate. And you can almost picture it, the political equivalent of that classic Aussie ad. Charter boat? What charter boat? That line gets dropped in there like a perfectly timed punchline. The suggestion being that for years, the response was a collective shrug. Then comes the big number, an eye-watering figure, somewhere between $15 and $30 billion in alleged corrupt payments in the building industry. That's not loose change down the back of the ute. That's the kind of number that makes everyone sit up straighter in their seat. Now here's where it gets personal. He's not reading from a textbook. He's not quoting from some ivory tower think tank. He tells the chamber he started as an 18-year-old carpenter in Victoria. First day on site, boom, confronted with bullying and corruption from a predecessor union body. That kind of story lands differently. It's not abstract, it's lived experience. He paints himself not just as a politician, but as a bloke who's been on the tools, who's worn the boots, who's seen it firsthand. And that's the heart of his argument. This isn't theory. This is nearly 40 years in the industry as a chippy, a builder, a construction barrister. He's saying, I've been there, I've seen it, I've heard the stories from businesses who reckon they can't even start a job without agreeing to certain payments. He describes what he calls standover tactics, strong words, charged words. Now here's where the parody writes itself, because as he's delivering this fiery speech, somewhere in the background you can almost imagine the collective poker faces across the aisle. Penny Wong, cool as a Tassie breeze, probably sitting there with that expression that says, I have heard louder storms than this. And Anthony Albanese? Well, he's not even in the room, because this is the upper house, mate. Question time for him happens down the corridor. So in this debate, he's more like the mysterious off-screen character in a drama series. Mentioned, referenced, not actually appearing.
And the member for Fisher goes for it. He accuses the Labor Party of taking millions in donations from the CFMEU. He says even after media exposés brought things into sharp focus, the response was surprise. No idea, he suggests they said. That wide-eyed, hands-in-the-air political classic, we had no idea about the extent of the problem. Now, to be clear, this is politics. Allegations get thrown around like sausages at a Bunnings fundraiser. Everyone's got a line. Everyone's got a defence. But in this speech, the tone is unmistakable. Frustration mixed with vindication. He feels like he's been ringing the alarm bell for a decade, and only now, after media investigations, are people listening. He even argues that if you are serious about distancing yourself, you donate the controversial funds to charity. He names possibilities, charitable organisations, veterans groups. Instead, he says, the money remained in party coffers, and he uses a phrase loaded with moral weight to describe it. It's a rhetorical move designed to sting, to underline just how strongly he feels about it. And then there's the broader claim that harm and intimidation have occurred on work sites, that women and even public servants have faced unacceptable treatment. Again, these are serious matters, and in the chamber, they're delivered with a kind of controlled outrage. But here's the thing about Australian politics. It's rarely subtle. It's part courtroom drama, part pub debate, part theatre production, where everyone knows their lines but hopes to land the best zinger. What makes this moment so compelling isn't just the accusations, it's the clash of narratives. On one side, a veteran of the building industry saying, I've seen it with my own eyes. On the other side, a government that insists it takes integrity seriously and operates within the rules of political funding as they stand. That tension, that's the electricity in the room. And in parody form, you can almost imagine the exaggerated slow zoom on faces, the dramatic music swelling as someone says, nothing to see here for the third time. The member for Fisher shaking his head like a disappointed footy coach at half-time. Penny Wong arching an eyebrow with laser precision. Albanese, somewhere else in the building, probably blissfully unaware that he's just been cast as the off-stage protagonist in this particular episode. But beneath the theatrics, there's a bigger conversation Australia keeps circling back to: transparency, union influence, political donations, and how to clean up industries where serious allegations arise. These debates don't vanish after one speech, they echo, they resurface, they evolve. And that's why moments like this grab attention, because it's not just about one fiery address, it's about trust, about whether voters believe the system works, about whether long-standing concerns are taken seriously or brushed aside until a headline forces action. So what we witnessed wasn't just a rant, it was a political veteran saying, I've been consistent for 10 years. It was a challenge to a government to prove its standards, and yes, it was delivered with all the drama and flair that makes Australian parliamentary debates must-watch viewing for anyone who enjoys a bit of political theatre with their evening news. In the end, no punches were physically thrown, just rhetorical ones. The chamber moves on, the microphones switch off, but the questions linger. And if nothing else, you can't say it was dull. Because in Australian politics, when someone says, nothing to see here, that's usually when everyone starts looking a whole lot closer.